Heartwarming plea, little girl asks lonely CEO, will you be my daddy forever? Incredible transformation unfolds. In the bustling town of Maplewood, where the air was alive with the laughter of children and the joyous shouts of play, 10-year-old Lucy sat on the steps of her crowded foster home, watching the world swirl around her. The sun painted the streets in vibrant colors, but her heart was heavy with the weight of dreams that felt just out of reach. All she longed for was a family to call her own, a stable place where she could feel love without the uncertainty of tomorrow. As she lingered on the porch, her eyes drifted to Jessup Tech, a once great company now shrouded in shadows and despair. Its CEO, was a ghost in the world of success, a man who had lost everything after the tragic loss of his daughter. What was left was a man trapped in his office, surrounded by cold steel and shattered hopes. Lucy felt an odd pull towards him, an unseen thread that connected their vastly different worlds. One fateful afternoon, the air crackled with electricity. Lucy, fueled by a courageous spark, found herself standing at the entrance of the tech empire. Her small figure, bright-eyed and full of innocence, captured Jay's attention as he peered from behind his bleak glass wall. With a heart full of hope, she took a deep breath, her voice trembling with determination. Will you be my daddy forever? The words echoed in the silence of the office, catching him completely off guard. He was unprepared for such raw, unfiltered truth. The walls he had carefully built around his heart began to crack as he wrestled with unbearable emotion. Here was this brave little girl, untainted by the cynicism that had consumed him for so long, reminding him of the beauty he thought he'd lost. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Lucy's innocent plea blossomed into a secret friendship, a tapestry of shared laughter and quiet understanding. They explored the hidden corners of their hearts, creating a makeshift family that none could see. Yet as their bond grew, so did the whispers of disapproval from the townsfolk, who saw a rich man and a poor girl entangled in a web of classist judgment. It threatened to tear them apart just as they were starting to heal, but when harsh news hit her foster home on the brink of closure due to funding cuts, Lucy refused to be silenced. She rallied the neighborhood, her resilient spirit igniting a fire within everyone who had ever felt invisible. She spoke with a passion that seemed to awaken the hearts of the community, reminding them that love could forge real family despite status or wealth. As Lucy stood before the town hall, heart racing, Jay lingered at the back, torn between his fears and the undeniable connection they shared. The crowd focused on Lucy's earnest determination, the air thick with tension and expectation. Yet, in this moment of rising hope, doubt threaded through Jay's mind, battling his urge to step forward and claim what had begun to feel like his truest path. In this moment, they both wondered, could a lonely girl and a grieving man redefine what family truly meant, or would the weight of judgment be too much to bear? With the weight of the townspeople's gazes on him, Jay felt his heart pound like a war drum in his chest. All it would take was a single step forward, yet fear gripped him. Would he be able to handle the judgment of the community? Would they ever accept this unexpected bond? Lucy's voice rang clear, sweet and defiant. I just want a family, a place where I belong. Each word was a plea, not just for herself, but for him too. She was asking for something far deeper than mere companionship. She was asking for a chance to heal. The murmurs of the crowd picked up as they exchanged glances, the tension crackling like static in the air. Some shifted uncomfortably, while others nodded slowly, beginning to grasp the sincerity of Lucy's words. Her simple hope resonated, one family made from two broken pieces. As Jay wrestled with his thoughts, the ghosts of the past tightened their grip. Memories of his daughter flashed through his mind, her laughter echoing in the hallways of his once vibrant life. He almost wanted to look away but couldn't. Here was Lucy, a beacon of hope, daring him to step back into the light. The world around him faded, leaving only Lucy's determined eyes. For the first time in years, he felt something stir within him, a flicker of feeling he thought he'd buried. Could a child truly fill the void left by his own loss? Could he take the risk of opening his heart, of letting someone in again? Lucy, he finally managed to speak, his voice rough and uncertain. The air felt like syrup, heavy with possibility and fear. I'm not sure I can give you that. I don't know how to be a father anymore. But you already are, she replied, her small hands clasped tightly in front of her, eyes wide with sincerity. You listen, and you care. That's what family does. In that moment, the walls around Jay's heart cracked further, a ripple of warmth chasing away the shadows of doubt. The crowd's whispers faded to a dull hum as he shifted his weight, preparing to move. Just when he felt the strength to take a step forward, deep cracks of disapproval echoed from the back. This is absurd, shouted a voice that cut like glass. What does a wealthy CEO know about parenting a little girl? Anger surged inside him, but it fizzled out under the weight of truth. He had been grieving, while Lucy had been brave. And blunt reality slapped him in the face. Lucy needed him. He took a deep breath, drawing strength from her courage. I know what it is to be alone, he declared loudly enough for all to hear, his voice shaking but firm. I know what it is to miss home. Lucy and we are both searching for hope. The crowd fell silent. They watched, waiting for his next move. Would he stand there and let fear win, or would he risk everything to say yes? The choice loomed before him like a doorway to a new life, a life filled with love, laughter, and family. Jay looked down at Lucy, who beamed up at him like she was holding the stars. The moment stretched, pulsing with tension. He felt tears pricking at the corners of his eyes, an overwhelming tide of emotion cascading over him. Before he could think twice, he took a decisive step toward her, toward a future where love transcended the boundaries of wealth and loneliness. Would they both find healing in each other, and as a path to redemption opened before him, another question brewed: could they overcome the overwhelming tide of judgment threatening to drown them both? Jay stepped forward, his decision ignited by the warmth radiating from Lucy's gaze. The crowd held their breath, caught in the fragile moment. He could feel their skepticism, like a weight pushing down on him, but it paled against the bright hope shining in Lucy's eyes. Thank you for believing in me, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He knelt down, bringing himself closer to her level. I don't know how to do this, but I'm willing to try. The crowd murmured. Some shook their heads, unsure of what to think. Others nodded in approval, recognizing the sincerity behind his words. Could they really change their minds about this? Could a broken man and a fragile girl form a bond strong enough to withstand their doubt? Lucy's face lit up with a smile that spread like sunlight breaking through clouds. You mean it? We can be a family? Jay couldn't help but smile back, feeling the tightness in his chest ease for the first time in what felt like forever. Yes, Lucy. We can start something new together. As he stood, his heart lightened like a burden lifted. He held out his hand to her, inviting her to join him on this uncertain path. The townspeople watched, a mix of astonishment and curiosity flickering across their faces. Maybe one voice called out tentatively, a woman standing near the front, maybe he can learn. We all can, we're all searching for something. Another voice quickly chimed in. But who is to say he can even take care of her? He comes from wealth, what does he know about struggle? Love knows no boundaries, Lucy interjected, her voice a sweet, unwavering song amidst the clamor. Her innocence drew attention, shifting the crowd's focus. They needed to hear her, more than they needed to judge Jay. We all are just looking for someone who understands us. She cried. I've lost my family. He's lost his little girl. We both need to build something new. Her words struck chords in many hearts. Still, doubt lingered in the air, thick like fog. Jay sensed the paradigm shift occurring, shifting from condemnation to contemplation. Lucy. He turned to her, cupping her small face in his hands, feeling a warmth like fire that he hadn't felt in years. You are so brave, and I promise to do my best. But if we're going to do this, we need your help, too. We need everyone's help. A ripple of surprise ran through the crowd. Community was everything. If the townspeople wouldn't support them, how could they hope to build something together? Every family starts as strangers learning to trust, he said, his voice gaining strength with each word. I invite all of you to be part of our story. Help us find our way. As murmurs exchanged among the townspeople, Jay felt a renewed sense of determination flood through him. They were still standing on the edge, balancing between acceptance and judgment. But he wouldn't allow fear to dictate their next steps anymore. It was a daunting task, but if Lucy was willing to step into the unknown, so would he. He glanced down at her, exhilaration mixing with anxiety. Okay, Lucy. We're not just building a family. We're laying the foundation of a home, he said, more to himself than anyone else. Just then, a soft voice broke through the silence. I think we should give them a chance. Everyone deserves a family. As the words hung in the air, Jay felt the tide slowly turning. Could they really come together to create something beautiful? Would the scars of the past heal while they forged ahead into the light of a new beginning? As hope flickered in the air, another voice emerged from the crowd, filled with skepticism. But what happens when it gets tough? Will you still want her then? The question loomed large. What lay ahead was as uncertain as it was promising. Jay took a breath, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Would love really be enough to sustain them when the storms of life rolled in? The question hung in the air like a storm cloud, weighing heavily on Jay's shoulders. He took a moment, his heart racing as he searched for the right words. Staring into Lucy's hopeful eyes, he felt a surge of clarity and determination. Life is tough, he finally said, clenching his fists. But we're tougher if we face it together. No one can promise that things will always be easy. But I can promise you this, I will be here, and I will try every day to make things better for both of us. The crowd leaned in, some nodding slowly, others still skeptical. They could see the conviction in his eyes, the way it mirrored Lucy's innocent hope. That flicker of belief began to reshape the air around them. You don't know how hard this will be, shouted a man from the back, his voice trembling with emotion. Jay nodded, a visible calm settling over him. I don't. But I'm ready to learn. I want to learn. With Lucy and all of you. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm standing here willing to change. Another voice broke through, softer this time. Sometimes love comes in unexpected forms. Maybe this can work. Whispers rippled through the crowd, a mixture of hope and apprehension. Jay could feel each heartbeat, the way uncertainty danced in the air, but he couldn't let that sway him. He glanced down at Lucy, who still stood firm, clutching his hand like it was a lifeline. Let us start with small steps, he continued. Let us meet each other, not as strangers, but as neighbors. As friends. This is just the beginning. I might be a CEO, but I'm ready to step down and be what I need to be for Lucy. Can you really be a dad when it counts? A young woman shouted from the crowd, desperation in her voice. Yes, Jay answered firmly, his heart pounding. And I want to be part of this community. I want to give Lucy more than just a roof over her head. I want to show her the warmth of a family, the love of a mother, the joy of companionship. Lucy squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes brightening even more. And I want that, too, she exclaimed, her voice ringing out sweetly like wind chimes. The townspeople exchanged unsure glances. Jay took a deep breath and pushed onward. I know that you're all looking out for her and for our community. I understand the need for trust. So let us build that together. Let me show you. His sincerity cut through the noise, the crowd more attentive now. Jay could see them softening, the skepticism beginning to melt away under the warmth of Lucy's smile and his open-hearted plea. As the murmurs quieted, a woman stepped forward, her face aged but wise. Perhaps we've been too quick to judge. It's true that love can form in unexpected ways. But remember, this takes time. And it takes effort. I'm ready for that, Jay replied, resolute. Lucy beamed up at him. Yet, deep inside, doubt still flickered in the back of his mind. Would he really be able to turn this dream into a reality? As if sensing his unease, Lucy gently tugged at his hand and leaned closer, her voice a soft whisper, "We can do this, Jay." With her belief wrapped around him like a warm blanket, the path ahead felt a little clearer. But just then, another voice piped up, cutting through the newfound moment of unity. What if he finds it too hard? What if he gives up when it's too tough? The crowd fell quiet again, and the question ignited a fire in Jay's gut. He knew the challenge ahead was daunting. Maybe, he began, looking deeply into the eyes that now watched him intently. But I'll never know unless we at least try, and with that, he felt the crowd collectively hold their breath once more. Would they take that leap of faith with him? Where would this path lead them all? Jay felt the weight of the crowd's scrutiny piercing through him. Each pair of eyes was filled with a blend of suspicion and a glimmer of hope. The air crackled, thick with unspoken questions. He closed his eyes for just a moment, calling on all his reserves of strength. He couldn't allow fear to anchor him down. "Look," he said, his voice steadying. "I know I'm a stranger to many of you. A guy in a suit, a title that seems more like a wall than a bridge. But if you give me a chance, if you let me in, I promise to give you my all. For Lucy. For all of us." Lucy kept her small hand in his, her grip unwavering. She radiated such strength and trust that it warmed his resolve. He glanced down at her, his heart swelling as she nodded approvingly, as if she understood the gravity of the moment better than anyone. A murmur broke out among the crowd. What if he runs away when things get tough? A voice whispered, doubt still swirling like an unwelcome breeze. As he took a breath, Jay felt an unexpected surge of determination. "I've faced challenges before. I built my career from the ground up, made tough decisions every day. This," he gestured broadly to encompass the crowd, "this is the hardest challenge of my life. This isn't just about me anymore. This is about Lucy's future, about building a home, a family. I'm all in." Then he hesitated, looking out over the group, trying to read their faces. Was that softening in their expressions? He pressed on, urgency creeping back into his voice. "Change takes time. I know that. But I'm ready to connect. Not just with Lucy, but with each of you. I want to learn what it means to be part of this community." "Actions speak louder than words," someone shouted. The crowd nodded in agreement, signaling their cautious resolve. Absolutely. Jay felt every muscle in his body focused on conveying sincerity. Let's start with actions. I want to help. I can offer skills or resources, whatever I can, to make this community a better place. But first, I need to be part of it. I need to earn your trust." A young girl stepped forward, her voice small yet brave. "What if you break her heart?" The question hit hard. Jay swallowed, feeling the raw truth of it. "That's a risk I'm willing to take. I refuse to let fear dictate my choices. Lucy deserves someone who will always show up, even if there are bumps along the way." The crowd, still unsure, seemed to collectively breathe in the sincerity he exuded. He saw people exchanging glances filled with curiosity, a little bit of trust beginning to flicker. Then, Lucy, with all her innocent courage, stared at the crowd and announced, "I believe in him. You should too." The earnestness of her declaration sent ripples of warmth through the crowd. A few people smiled, the tension easing just a bit as uncertainty loomed large. Jay felt something shift inside him. What if each shared moment, each small act of kindness could truly weave connections? What if this community, once just a backdrop, became a family? However, deep within, Jay grappled with the haunting possibilities that lurked in his mind. What if he faltered? What if he couldn't keep that promise, as he shifted under the weight of his own thoughts, the murmurs from the crowd grew louder, taking shape around them. What if he really is committed? Someone asked. Can he really change? Another voice joined in. As Jay stood, uncertainty dancing in the corners of his heart, he realized the next move was theirs. But what he could do was plant the seed of hope. Let us find out together, he said, locking eyes with Lucy, then with the crowd. Shall we? The world fell silent for a heartbeat. And in that space, both fragile and hopeful, the impossible felt a little more real. Would they reach out, take that leap of faith, and see just how far together they could go? Jay's heart raced as he stood before the crowd, feeling the mounting tension like a tightrope under his feet. Was it madness to believe they might accept him? He focused on Lucy, her wide eyes filled with trust, almost glowing with belief in him. If only that faith could bridge the gap of uncertainty that still lingered. Together, he repeated, as though saying it enough would somehow manifest it into existence. A man stepped forward, a slight smile breaking through the unease. If you want trust, you need to be part of our lives, he said, voice steady yet kind. Show us who you are. Let us see your actions. Yes. Someone else chimed in. No more talk. We want to see you in action. It's not about a suit, it's about a heart. Jay nodded vigorously. You're right. I want to help. Let us find a project that matters to us all. Something we can work on together. But deep down, he felt the knot of doubt tighten. Had he just demanded too much? His own experience felt so far removed from their everyday struggles. What did he know about what truly mattered to them? Like what? A woman spoke from the back, arms crossed, eyebrows raised. What kind of help are you offering? I don't know yet, he admitted, his voice carrying a shaky honesty. Maybe we clear up the park. Or start a food drive. I'm good with organizing events. Anything you feel strongly about, I'm ready to dive in and support you. There was a pause before murmurs swelled up once more. He sensed movement in the crowd, a shared thought weaving its way through them. A potential idea took root, sparked by curiosity. Then, Lucy tugged at his sleeve. Can we help families too? Like to get them food? She asked, her wide eyes drawing attention. Jay knelt, a smile creeping onto his face. That's a great idea, Lucy. He turned back to the crowd, who were now looking at him and her with a spark of recognition. Let's set up a community dinner. We'll gather food and invite everyone. Let them come together, share a meal, share stories. What if no one shows up? A voice questioned quietly, filled with doubt. But what if they do? Jay countered, excitement lighting his words. We won't know unless we try. I want to see these families, hear their stories, and understand their needs. Count me in, said the young girl from before, this time with a spirited determination in her voice. One by one, people began to nod, murmurs changing into agreement. Relief washed over Jay like a breath of fresh air. Lucy's hand squeezed his tightly, her initial fears forgotten. This was a breaking point, a chance to build confidence and connection. This isn't just my idea anymore, he said, feeling the warmth of their collective energy. It's ours. Together, we can show up for each other. All of us. The crowd seemed to finally breathe as one, that lingering tension melting into something absolutely alive and hopeful. Jay could feel a shift in the atmosphere, almost like the promise of rain after a sweltering day. What about next Saturday? Someone called from the crowd. We could use the church hall. Yes. Lucy cheered, her voice ringing out sweetly. Jay couldn't help but chuckle at her exuberance. As details about the dinner began to float through the air, Jay felt the collective hope rise higher. Perhaps, just perhaps, their hearts were opening as much as his was. Yet, as they discussed logistics, a nagging thought lingered. What would happen when vulnerability laid bare his past? Would the community still see him as an asset or simply a flawed man in a nice suit? His mind was racing, but Lucy broke through the noise, a giggle escaping her lips. He looked down, surprised. "What is it, sweet pea? I just think it's silly that you're all in, and you still don't know how to dance." Her innocent laughter echoed, a beacon illuminating the moment. "Maybe that's what I need, dancing lessons." He joked, laughter erupting around them. Yet beneath the light-hearted banter, a part of him wondered if dancing represented the next step in embracing of a life and the connection that came with it. And as he watched Lucy's laughter ripple out to others, a question lingered in his chest: would he find the rhythm to weave into this new life they were all beginning to share? Suddenly, among the laughter and discussions, he felt the joy flip into anticipation. What if this dinner became a new beginning, a foundation, of something amazing? Could they really become a family, more than just a community? That thought echoed, dancing in the corners of his mind as they moved forward together. The week flew by, each day packed with energy and excitement. Jay found himself sitting at a table in the church hall, the space buzzing with activity. He watched as families came together, tables piled with food, laughter ringing through the air. Lucy was off decorating the walls with colorful drawings, the glow in her eyes contagious. It felt surreal, like stepping into a dream where he truly belonged. The day before the event, Jay had dashed around town gathering supplies, his heart lighter with every friendly smile exchanged. His suit felt different now, less like an armor and more like a badge of honor. He was their advocate. Still, a weight rested on his chest, the fear of revealing more of himself than he was ready for. The stories of struggle and vulnerability would soon fill the room, and he had yet to share his own. Just then, the church's door creaked open, bringing in a gust of cool air and a new wave of people. Jay stood to greet them, his smile warm, but his stomach twisted. Among the newcomers was a woman with bright red hair. She looked familiar. As she moved closer, he recognized her as the one who had questioned him during his speech. "Hey there," she said, her arms brushing against her sides, clearly nervous. "I'm Ella. I didn't think I'd come, but it turns out I really want to be part of this." Jay felt a spark of hope. "That's amazing, Ella. We can always use more helping hands," he replied, gesturing towards the tables. "I gotta admit, I was skeptical," she admitted as they moved toward the food. "I thought this was just one of those nice gestures from a guy in a suit." "Fair point," Jay said, laughter bubbling just beneath the surface. "I was one of those guys, that's for sure. Until I realized there's more to life than just business meetings and briefcases." Ella raised an eyebrow, her interest piqued. "What do you mean?" "I mean, connecting with people is important," Jay said, his eyes drifting to Lucy, who was sharing her art ideas with another child. "This community dinner? It's as much about food as it is about bringing people together." As they set up, Ellen shared stories of the neighborhood, recounting struggles, joys, and dreams. Her candidness drew Jay in, pulling at those familiar threads of hesitance he had felt just days before. Before he knew it, they were joking, bouncing ideas for the event back and forth, their laughter echoing off the church walls. "Look at us," Jay said, shaking his head in disbelief. "It's like a new world is opening up." "Yeah, well, you seem to attract good energy," Ella teased, nudging him lightly. Not everyone could pull off a community dinner after standing on that stage. As they packed the last of the food items, the reality of the next day sank in. Would this meal create the bonds and connections they all hoped for? The questions whispered again. What would happen when his past surfaced? Would it push Ella, or anyone else, away? Just then, Lucy rounded the corner, her face beaming with pride as she tugged at Jay's pants. "Look! Look what I made!" In her hands, she held a collage of cheerful drawings that told stories of happiness, food, and friends. Jay's heart swelled. "Those are beautiful. You've captured everything we are trying to do," he said, kneeling down to meet her eye to eye. "What if we give them a surprise?" Lucy suggested, her excitement bubbling over. A gift just for them. Jay felt a warmth spread through him. What do you have in mind? A book. A book of stories. Everyone could write their story. She beamed, her vision overflowing with innocence and hope that he smiled back, a sense of purpose igniting. Let us make it happen. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jay couldn't shake the thought of Lucy's idea. Moments later, he caught sight of Ella smiling at them from the doorframe, her presence a reminder of the unexpected bonds forming around him. And deep down, a question lingered: what revelations awaited them at dinner? Could tomorrow's gathering truly become a launch pad for something deeper, something sustainable? Would it connect not just their community, but weave in the pieces of his past he feared sharing? Hope shot through him like a spark in the darkness, illuminating the path ahead. As the night drew closer, they prepared to dance into an uncertain future, one marked by laughter, stories, and maybe just maybe something that could feel like family. The sun rose like a promise, casting a warm golden light over the church grounds. Jay stepped outside, taking a moment to breathe in the fresh morning air. The faint sounds of people chatting and the clattering of dishes drifted through the open windows. He felt a surge of nerves mixed with excitement. Today was the day he had been building up to all week. Are you ready? Lucy's voice interrupted his thoughts. She appeared at his side, her little hands clutching the book they had prepared for everyone to share their stories. The book was an unassuming blend of deep blues and greens, decorated with Lucy's artwork on the cover. More than ready, buddy, he replied, ruffling her hair. The way she looked up at him, her eyes sparkling, melted away any remaining doubt. They headed toward the church, where families were already finding their places. He spotted Ella, setting up a table with colorful decorations alongside a few volunteers. Jay joined them, determined to channel the energy of the community around him into something beautiful. Look at this. Ella called over, smiling broadly as she added another paper flower to the table. It's coming together, isn't it? Absolutely, he replied, laying out the plates. He felt himself relax in the hustle and bustle, as if every laugh and every shared moment was knitting him closer to this community. Soon, the hall filled with chatter and laughter as people began to arrive. Kind faces greeted him left and right, and he felt a warmth spread through him. It wasn't until the first guests took their seats and the stocky man with a thick beard from down the street initiated a story that the room truly came alive. Every Sunday, my grandma made the best fried chicken, the man began, his voice rich with nostalgia. Laughter erupted as he shared tales of family arguments and the relentless competition for the last piece. Encouraged by the laughter, more stories emerged, each one a thread weaving the fabric of their shared history. Jay felt himself leaning in, absorbing every tale like it was a treasure. Then, as if to prove his hesitance had no place here, Lucy bounded to the front of the group, the book clutched tightly in her small arms. Can I have everyone's attention? She called out, her tiny voice somehow commanding the room. The noise quieted, eyes turning toward her expectantly. We made this book for all of you. It's for your stories. Will you share yours? The audience burst into applause, and Jay's heart swelled with pride. Lucy, in her innocent enthusiasm, had found a way to connect everyone, including him. As families began to pen their stories, sharing heartfelt moments and deeply personal reflections, Jay felt a shift within himself. The vulnerability in the room sparked something within him, nudging him closer to revealing his own journey. Could he trust these people enough to open up? Then, as the event unfolded and laughter filled the air, an older lady with twinkling eyes approached him. These gatherings remind me that we aren't alone, she said softly. Your courage has brought us all together today. Mouth dry, Jay nodded. He thought about the woman's words and suddenly knew he could no longer hide. The urge to share was like a tide building within. But how could he step onto that proverbial stage, bare his heart, and risk the bonds that were slowly forming? As if reading his thoughts, Lucy grasped his hand. Daddy, can I share a story too? She asked, her innocence opening a well of tenderness within him. "Of course, sweetheart," he replied, overcome with affection. Her desire to connect and share was a reminder of the courage he needed. With a deep breath, he took Lucy's small hand, and together they walked to the center of the room. Each step felt monumental, his heart racing not from fear, but from the thrill of possibility. Before he could speak, another voice broke through the chatter. "Hey! Who wants to hear my story?" It was Ella, her tone playful yet inviting, effortlessly disarming the tension in Jay's chest. With the crowd's focus shifting back to her, Jay felt a surge of gratitude. Perhaps today wasn't just about him sharing his story, but also about weaving it into the tapestry of this community. As they listened to Ella, something began to shift in Jay. The walls he had built around himself started to crack, revealing the warmth of connection and belonging. What would happen if he chose to share? He felt the stirring of hope, a test of courage wrapped in the safety of camaraderie. Could his voice blend seamlessly with theirs, transforming the evening into something unforgettable? As the night deepened, a question lingered in his mind: would he find the strength to share his burdens, and just maybe, etch his story into the fabric of this newly formed family? As Ella wrapped up her story, the applause reverberated in the crowded hall, but Jay's mind was swirling. Everyone seemed so effortlessly connected, and he felt like he was hanging on to the edge of this vibrant scene. The energy in the room was infectious. People leaned in, laughing, crying, sharing pieces of themselves. Here, he was no longer just the new guy, he was one of them. "Daddy," Lucy whispered, her small hand squeezing his. "Can we go next?" Her innocence planted a powerful seed of doubt in his mind. Did he really have something worth saying? The protective instinct within him was at war with the longing to be seen. Swallowing hard, he nodded, his heart quickening. This was his moment, and he couldn't let it slip away. That he cleared his throat, trying to suppress the growing whirlwind inside him. His voice faltered. The room fell silent, a palpable weight of expectation filling the air. He turned to Lucy. Her bright smile lit him up from the inside. "We're here because of you," he began, his voice slowly gaining strength. "Because you want to hear our stories." As he spoke, hearts began to soften and faces turned towards him, eyes wide with interest. Jay found himself smiling. Remembering the warmth he felt from the stories before, he sought to share his own. "I guess I never thought I had a story worth telling. I lost my way for a while. I thought success meant I had to be alone." A brief silence followed, the vulnerability of his words echoing in the room. Taking a steadying breath, he pressed on. "But then this little girl came along," he nodded at Lucy, "and she made me see that community matters more than anything. This gathering, it's brought me back to where I belong." There was a moment of stillness, and then out of nowhere, Lucy piped up, "And now Daddy is happy, right?" Her joyous lilt spread warmth like sunshine through the room. Laughter bubbled up, and he couldn't help but chuckle with them. "Yeah, kiddo," he replied, his voice tinged with emotion. "Now I'm the happiest I've been in a long time." What followed felt like an opening door, as other audience members began sharing bits of their personal journeys. Each story was a thread woven together, solidifying their bond even more. A woman spoke of her late husband and the strength of their love. An older gentleman shared tales of his youth, filled with mischief and laughter. Their raw honesty inspired Jay, but through all the storytelling, his own truth still sat heavy in his heart. After a series of tales, Jay felt an almost magnetic pull urging him to share more. The crowd was with him, ready to embrace whatever he had to say. Yet, fear clung to the edges of his thoughts. What if they didn't accept all of him? What if his past chased them away? Still, he felt the room pulse with empathy and understanding. Could he break these final chains? "Lucy's right," he said, surprising himself. "This is a moment where we can heal together. I want to share something." The food and laughter faded in the backdrop as he grappled with his choice, but just then, from the corner of the room, a young voice rang out, "Will you be my daddy forever?" It came from a small girl, staring wide-eyed at a simple stranger, a lonely man who had just walked in. The moment hung in the air, heavy with unspoken connections and definitions. Jay's heart raced, but he felt all those eyes. You could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the community, ready to support him. Could he truly embrace this question and everything it implied? Would the next step be a leap into the unknown, or a step towards something beautiful? The quiet weight of potential filled the space. As everyone looked between him and the little girl, Jay realized he was standing on the brink of a choice that could change everything. As the question echoed through the church hall, Jay felt the weight of the world press down on him. There was a longing in that little girl's voice, a reflection of his own desires and fears. Would he really take a step into this unknown territory? While he grappled with the gravity of the moment, Lucy stood beside him, her small fingers entwined with his, radiating warmth and support. "Will you be my daddy forever?" The innocent plea brought tears to his eyes, reflecting the emotions swirling within him. He turned to Lucy, who looked up at him with unbridled trust, and the usual doubts began to melt away. The silence in the hall felt thick, almost palpable. He could feel the crowd's anticipation, the collective hope hovering around them. They weren't merely spectators. They were family, already beginning to share in this journey of healing. Jay took a deep breath, summoning the courage he had found in Lucy's friendship. "Yes," he said, the word emerging from his throat with unexpected conviction. "Yes, I will be your daddy forever." A wave of warmth enveloped him as he knelt down, making eye contact with the small girl who had thrown his world into a whirlwind of possibilities. He felt both fear and exhilaration pulse through him in equal measure. In that moment, the crowd erupted into murmurs, a mix of disbelief and joy washing over their faces. Lucy's eyes sparkled with happiness, and she threw her arms around him, the sheer innocence of her embrace calming the tremors still quaking through his heart. But the climax of this moment wasn't just in his promise to the little girl. It symbolized an allegiance to Lucy, an acceptance of the truth that their lives had intertwined in the most beautiful way. He could feel warmth spread through the hall, transforming doubt into a blossoming belief in connection and community. "Families aren't perfect, but they matter," he said, lifting his gaze to the crowd. "I know I have a lot to learn, and I won't have all the answers, but I promise every day I'll show up for all of you. I want to be part of this beautiful tapestry we're weaving together. I want to build something where love overcomes the doubts." A hum of agreement rippled through the hall. Like a flickering flame catching on wood, the energy began to build, hope igniting in the faces surrounding him. That tone of possibility echoed back and forth, igniting hearts and changing perceptions. Lucy cheerfully spoke up, "And we can help each other." Her voice was a reminder of the simple truth that, though they may come from different worlds, that didn't mean they couldn't form a united front to create something marvelous. "Right." Jay chimed in, feeling the momentum surge through him. "Let us create something special, our community, our family, together. I'm here ready to listen and learn." Once more, the room erupted in applause and cheers. Jay couldn't help but join in, feeling as though the last of his burdens evaporated under the strength of their excitement. As the night wore on, they shared laughter, stories, and their hearts, layer by layer, building an inclusive fabric of hope. The din of the crowd mingled with Lucy's giggles and the sharing of stories that rang true, coming together as a testament to healing. Later, as the night began to draw to a close, he found himself gazing at Lucy, who was now chatting animatedly with the children. In a flood of emotion, he felt gratitude wash over him like a cleansing tide. They had achieved something unimaginable together. They hadn't just formed a bond, they had ignited a community full of love, healing, and strength. "Thank you for being you, Lucy," he whispered, crouching down beside her as the circle of friends gathered around, eager to share their stories. She stopped for a moment, her eyes shining, a mirror of what he had hoped for their future. "I believe in us," she replied, her sweet voice soothing the remnants of fear still lingering within him. And for the first time in a long time, Jay truly allowed himself to feel the warmth of family. They were not simply two individuals healing together, they had woven connections powerful enough to ripple beyond themselves and into the very heart of their community. As the evening came to an end, Jay realized the promise of family no longer felt uncertain. It felt grounded and real. They were building a legacy of love that transcended judgment and fear, flourishing in the embrace of shared experience and understanding, and with that realization, he felt ready to face whatever was next, with Lucy at his side, leading the way. Now, let us make sure that our journey doesn't end here. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next incredible stories about love and transformation. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm that helps us continue sharing these heartfelt moments with you. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who also deserve to witness this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Let us keep building this community together. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your support makes all the difference.